edition of our moral tutorial um, subject. We shall be discussing on things that are associated with addiction, and we will be discussing with someone who is in the United States of America who would be joining us soon, and we'll be discussing on mental health, things that are associated with addiction and drugs and all that. And let me quickly tell you about this person. His name is Professor Femi Duilemi. He's an accomplished transcultural mental health nurse and a distinguished public with over 40 years of global experience in mental health. And is someone who is, I feel, is competent enough to help us to discuss on issues that are associated with mental health. I'm trying to get him to join us now. I'm trying to get him to join us because the network has been quite bad. I hope he will join us soon. I'm trying to get him to join us. Hello, sir.
Good
Hello,
morning,
sir.
Prophet. Good morning. Good
Yeah.
morning. Yeah.
Well, I've just been telling our subscribers about your CV that you are a transcultural mental health publisher with over 40 years of experience in mental health. And I know that you'll be able to discuss some of these topics we have to discuss today so that if we need it, you have been out of Nigeria for a long time, but a lot of I've been moving with a lot of young ones, a lot of addiction has increased, especially when it comes to drugs. And I feel that someone like you can be able to advise them properly what to do and all that. Welcome once more to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm privileged to be here. It's
Yeah, can
early
you tell
hours
them?
here.
Yeah, can you tell them one or two things about yourself?
Thank you very much. My name is Femi Duyilemi. As the host have introduced me, I consider myself a transcultural mental health nurse.
Yeah.
Um, my beginning was from this neuropsychiatric hospital, Arrow, Abeokuta, the popular Arrow. And
Okay.
yeah, in Abeokuta, I worked there for over 10 years before I started my sojourn
Okay.
overseas and different places. Yeah, I still actively practice. I'm one of those practitioners you can say is a link between the past and the present. So
Okay.
I keep abreast of latest development both in Africa and everywhere in the world when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
I'm the president, the global president of the International Association for Psychiatric Nurses, across the world.
Yes. Yes.
So that helped me to keep in touch with development everywhere. Thank you. I'm
Okay.
glad to be here this morning. This
Yeah.
afternoon to you this morning in Central
Yeah.
Texas.
It's afternoon here. I almost two. It's almost two. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you to oblige us of this first um, program that we are having concerning this. Normally, our group is always associated with tutorials. We just try
Mm.
to help students to get involved in things that are associated with WAEC and all that. But while working with a lot of students, I found out that a lot of them are falling into the trap of drugs, addiction, and all that. And so many of them are tormented by it. So I felt we need some experts who would advise this. I want to ask first, what is mental health? What is mental health?
Thank you very much. Mental health could be described in a very simple term as how do I put it in a very simple term? You know, when we talk about physical health, we're talking about things related to the body and the joint, the muscle, the tissues, and stuff like that. Mental health
Mm,
is much more abstract when you look at it. Is the health of the mind, basically.
okay.
It's keeping
Mm,
your mind functioning, keeping you
mm-hmm,
functioning,
mm-hmm,
keeping you going. It's a general thing when we talk about mental health, because without the mental health part, there's no
mm-hmm.
way you'll be able to function physically.
Okay.
Okay, it's unfortunate we cannot specifically point to the part of the body that takes care of mental health.
Okay.
All we could say is that when they ask what is, I mean, a student of psychology, when they ask what is the seat of, where's the seat of mind, it is in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
it is, but unfortunately, many issues related to mental health, you
Yes.
cannot physically see them, even if you do all this new imaging and stuff. It's much more functional. So mental
Okay.
health is your functional health. Maybe that's what the way I should put it.
Okay. It's a functional head. Then, when we talk about addiction, what from your expertise, what do that mean when you say addiction?
The word addiction is loosely used. Okay, uh, addiction, clinically speaking, is when people cannot do without something specifically. It's
Okay.
not necessarily only drugs. It could
Mm,
be some habits like gambling, like sex.
okay.
Okay, these are the things that like we have compulsion around. When I say compulsion, there's no way you're able to control activities around that either substance or behavior. I give you a very clear example. Some people gamble so much.
Okay.
Initially, it was fun. Then, when it becomes addiction, they will even
Mm,
use their rent and the
mm,
chop money to
mm,
gamble. That's when it becomes
okay.
an addiction. The word
Okay.
addiction is when what you are doing start affecting your certain parts of your life.
Okay.
You see that relationship, work, uh, law, your job. That's when it becomes an addiction. And
Okay.
for students, when it start affecting your relationship, either with your parents, with your lecturer, with your family members, and when they give you money to pay school fees, you can pay the school fees because you need to get it fixed. That is addiction. Addiction is
Okay.
not just ordinary like using drugs or doing something on a larger quantity. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be affecting certain part of your life, and that's addiction. And people get to addiction quickly. So maybe when we move further, we'll talk about that.
Okay. So you mean addiction can be positive?
Addiction can never be positive. It becomes a
Okay.
because you have compulsion around it. It starts affecting your one's life here and there, so it becomes problematic. Addiction is problematic.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
problematic.
it's
Okay.
problematic. Yeah.
Okay. Can you put us through how addiction occurs? How do you
Thank
think addiction occurs?
yeah, thank you. That's you know, addiction occurs gradually in life. It's not insidious. It's not sudden. It doesn't happen just because you do something one time, two times, three times. Okay.
Okay.
Addiction is a phenomenon that progresses negatively without us even realizing it until it happens.
Okay.
Let me take you through it. For example, let's look at it. People who smoke marijuana, igbo,
Mm,
ganja, okay?
mm,
When they were smoking, they probably started smoking for one or two reasons. Some
mm-hmm.
people they're smoking for recreational purposes, like oh, my friends smoke it, I like it, okay?
Okay.
Or because they are very shy, they want to be like others, they want to be bold, or they want to chill, they smoke
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Some people, as we see in certain cultures, people will say, oh, it's good for the pain because I've been having this crazy back pain. I smoke a little bit of weed,
Okay.
little bit of igbo to relieve my pain. You know, at that point, you're just using it to meet something in your life.
Okay.
Okay. That is recreational use. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how much you smoke, it might not start to affect you. But as it progresses, a lot of these drugs are even activities that will lead to addiction. They produce certain substances in our brain. They call the endorphins.
Okay.
Endorphins are chemicals in the brain that makes you feel good.
Okay.
Okay, it's just like saliva in the mouth. Our
Okay.
body produces the accurate saliva we need every time. That's why our mouth
Okay.
is not. That's why our mouth is not dry. In physiology, we call it negative positive feedback mechanism.
Okay.
So in addiction, when people smoke or use any drug, their brain releases endorphin that makes them feel good. And because of that, the brain that was naturally has been naturally producing endorphins
Okay.
reduces its own activity. And now your body depends on that drugs to
Mm,
produce endorphin. So when the drugs have been giving you the endorphin, the boost, the high you need, people continue to
mm,
use it. And when they continue to use it, the body, whenever the body want the endorphin, they have to go to the drugs because the body is not producing its own endorphins anymore. And that's how addiction happens. So people have to take it to function on daily basis and keep moving forward.
okay.
That's how addiction happens.
That
So
one's
sometimes
okay.
people will say, "Oh, this guy can smoke so much weed, but he's still okay." It's because he's still getting the weed. The day is locked up and couldn't get the
Mm,
weed to smoke, then things will start falling apart. It might be at that point they will know that they have addiction. You know, when they still get having access to the drugs, they might not know they already had an addiction because they've been feeding their body constantly with it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if I get you right now, there's no way addiction can be controlled. You
That's
can't control it. It's
you
like I'm
right.
in charge. That
You're
it can't
right. You're
affect
right.
me.
Do not do it. That's the only way to control it. Do not start.
Okay.
Prevention is better than cure.
Okay.
Addiction is a phenomenon that if they say village people do you,
Mm,
is worse than a regular mental illness that we have. Mental illness, You give people medication if they were hearing voices or they're feeling irritable or they cannot sleep. You give them medication and that takes care of that.
Okay.
Addiction is a longer journey in life. Actually, people who have addiction problem, they will never say they are cured. They are never cured. They will
Okay.
remain an addict for life because they can easily fall back and forth to where they were
Okay.
before. So, addiction, what we always say, as we have said, is there is no actual cure for it. Do not do it. Prevention is better than cure. That's what I want to say to the youth. Do not
Okay.
mess with it because it become a bigger problem that you can deal
Me-
with in life.
Okay. So addiction can mess you up. Yes.
Completely. Completely.
Yes.
It
To,
takes
to
people away from you. It takes your
mm-hmm.
job away from you. It
Yeah.
takes your progress in life, academic, job, economy, relationship. Even if you are married, you lose your wife, your family, your children move away from you. So
Okay.
do not do it, and the society will ostracize you. That's
Okay.
the worst part. You know,
Mm,
you can't people can't hold on to job if they're addicted. As I said, they would rather
mm,
go smoke or go find Colorado or get
mm-hmm.
drunk before they get to work, and no employer will tolerate that. So do not do it. Don't do it. Prevention is better than cure. That's what we always say.
Okay. 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 I want to ask there's this which the youth talk about some drugs just for recreational, social. It doesn't have any impact. Do we have such kind of drugs?
I
Drugs
don't
that
say that could just be used recreational, that could make you function and all that.
sometimes some ladies smoke. I've forgotten some form of drugs. I think our subscriber could mention those kind of drugs that even the ladies smoke it. They said, "Oh, it doesn't have any impact. It's just to show off for that period."
Let me tell you. Yeah, that's always the beginning of it. We
Mm-hmm.
think this is good. Uh, it won't cause me trouble. I just want to use it for this time. And all, and to be honest, there's a phenomenon in the progression of addiction. Uh,
Mm,
some people have the tendency
mm-hmm.
to be addicted to
Mm-hmm.
drugs or to certain activities because of family history.
Yes.
It's in their gene. You will see
Okay.
some people they can use and leave it. People
Mm,
drink alcohol. If you look at
mm,
it, some people will drink, they can drink 4 times a week. They're still
okay.
able to hold their job, they're still able to take care of their family, they have no
Okay.
problem with the law.
Okay.
Whereas some people, probably because of the genetic loading from their
Mm,
family side,
mm,
they don't drink as much as that individual is drinking, but they get addicted.
okay.
So addiction will start by when people say, "Oh, I can just take it and leave it," then it become problematic.
Okay.
So I don't see any drugs that people can say, "I just want to use it to function and I can leave it." I can tell you, consistent use of that drug, progression of it, would definitely lead to addiction.
Addiction. There are
That's
some.
how
Okay,
people get addicted. Yeah,
I know you've lived in Nigeria for a long time, so
long time.
I want
I
to.
still
I
live
want
in
to.
Nigeria.
Okay, I just want to. There's this bus stops we have routes. They put plants and all that, and then all those kind of they call some paraga, all that.
Raga, yeah.
So those things too can lead to addiction because the people who take them, it says, is for herbal cure to cure them from one disease or the other.
There's always, anything that involved. It's not the herbs in them that will cause addiction.
Mm,
It is the alcohol base of it that can cause addiction.
okay.
Okay, People, I mean, people will say, "Oh, it works better when you put it in alcohol."
Mm,
I no, I come from a traditional home where they use all this stuff. It doesn't
mm.
necessarily have to be in alcohol to be true. You can soak
Okay.
it in water and you still
Okay.
get the extraction from the
Okay.
herbs. But people just do that for recreational purposes. I say, okay, let me take it. And as I said, some people might do that for years and
Okay.
they will never get addicted. And you know the reason why they will never get addicted? Because they don't have the predisposition to be addicted. And substances like alcohol, the tendency to get completely addicted to it is a little bit minimal. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit minimal. And that's why people don't get completely addicted. Some people don't even know that it's an addiction, that they have to go every morning to go get that paraga.
Mm,
Because if they don't, they will start sweating. Sometimes they start shaking, they start feeling hot. And they wouldn't know that that's the reason why they're feeling hot. They haven't withdrawn from alcohol. So once they get a
okay.
shot of the paraga, all go, all clear. They're ready to go and function for the day. Some of
Mm,
them might never be able to function daily without having a shot of that. That's an addiction. But if you look at it, the tendency for them to get completely messed up if it is alcohol is a little bit lesser than a lot of other potent drugs like Colorado and other stuff.
okay. Right. And which means the impact of those drugs on each individual is different. Some it is
Exactly. Exactly.
okay.
It's
So you may
the way
just
we
be the
tolerate
unlucky
it,
one.
the way we develop tolerance to it, what we call tolerance. Tolerance is when your body completely get used to it, and if you don't take it, your body will ask for it. That's called tolerance. Our tolerance level is different from one individual to the other. So you cannot say because my twin brother can do it, I can do it. You might not be able to. I've seen twin brother who are using drugs together, like recreationally. One of them get completely messed up and become an addict, while the other one continue to be functional, what we call functional user.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it is indeed quite something educative hearing from you. I want you to help us by letting us know the effect of these drugs on any individual. What I mean is, what do how what are those effects? What are those impact upon them that those persons who take it would more or less maybe get addicted, get messed up, and all that. What is the effect? What kind of feeling would that person have? Is it you mentioned sweating, you mentioned all that, or
Yeah.
in our own place here they call something madness and all that? What kind of effect would the person get?
Thank you very much. We have what we call the long term and the short term effect, and it depends on different drugs of use. We have
Mm,
what we call the stimulants. We have and they call it stimulant or hoppers. These are the drugs you take that make you hyper, that make you
mm,
active. A lot of artists will use it. A lot of people in music industry they will use it. A lot of people who draw and do stuff like that, sometimes they use those type of drugs, and marijuana is the major one. Okay.
okay,
Cannabis is the major one. They use other things like amphetamines as
okay,
stimulants. Amphetamines come in different form. We have them in Nigeria. I've forgotten the name we call those we used to take even when we were students to stay awake and study.
okay.
Okay.
Um,
If I
for instance,
remember
cola. Are you talking of cola? Cola nut.
no, cola nut is okay. Cola nut
Mm,
is more of it's a stimulant, but this one we buy them in the pharmacy in those days. You take it, it keeps you awake. all
Wow.
day, all night for
I
you to
don't think I
study.
took anything more than cola
When
nut.
we were in secondary school, those ones are the stimulants I talk about, and then we have the other one that we call the dianas, like the opioid based type of drugs. That the common one you see a lot are all this one they buy in the pharmacy in those days that they already stopped, like anything like the cough syrup that have codeine and all that stuff. Okay,
Hmm.
so and alcohol is another substance, okay, that people can take and they get addicted to. Okay, when I say we have the a short-term effect, we have long-term effect. It depends on any of these drugs. So let me take alcohol for example. As simple as
Hmm.
alcohol is, I told you about they might start sweating, shaky, and all that, and they need a shot. That is called withdrawal symptoms.
Okay.
Okay, that's the withdrawal symptoms. That's what you see in the acute phase, what we call the initial phase of addiction and all that. But on long term, all these drugs affect organs in your body. Okay, they
Okay.
affect like your kidney, they affect your liver, because these are the big organs working continuously to get rid of this toxic substance in the body.
Okay.
So people might end up with liver problem, they end up with kidney problem because they've been drinking. Even those who have been drinking paraga for very long time and we didn't see anything big happening. At the end, after many years, they might start having problem with the kidneys. You can see their legs will be swollen and rounded and shining and all that. That starts showing you some compromise of the liver and or the
Hmm.
kidney. Okay, that's alcohol. When you talk about the opiate based drugs, all those codeine, Colorado, and everything, that heroin in particular, heroin is very expensive. So people are still addicted to heroin in Nigeria, but you won't see as many because I remember when I was a nurse at Abeokuta, I was working drug addiction. A gram of heroin, to buy a gram of heroin, I will have to use my whole 1 month salary.
Okay.
So even if I want to be addicted to heroin, I cannot afford to be addicted to heroin. So we might not
Hmm.
see a lot of it, but we see a lot of other less expensive opiate-based drugs that our children is coming to the country through different routes from China and everywhere that people are taking.
Okay.
Those opiate ones, when people have the withdrawal, you would think they would die. When you look
Okay.
at them, and one of them, if they're your family member, you want to say, what can I do to help you so that you don't die? They will start they might start sneezing when they haven't used the drug for over 6 hours. They will start
Hmm.
sneezing, a lot of sneezing. They will be aching all over their body. They will be so miserable. They might start vomiting.
Hmm.
They might start having serious diarrhea.
Hmm.
They will be shaking. They will be feverish. You would think they have malaria, they have typhoid, something. They're going to die right away. Those are the withdrawal symptoms of opiate. I've seen many family that this is why some of them become what we call an enabler to their
Hmm.
addicted family member because they've seen them in this crazy situation, the way they look, they think they're going to die. So they will help them to get the drugs so that they can feel better. So
Okay.
yeah, that is at the extreme of it. I talk about alcohol and I talk
Yeah.
about the opiate. When you talk about the stimulant like the amphetamines, like marijuana, they don't really have any physical symptoms that you can see. Okay, what you can see is if they haven't had enough or they don't have money to use, they might become very irritable. They become very aggressive. They can start fighting people, and you don't know. You wonder, what did I say that you start jumping and jumping me? But it's because
Okay.
they have not taken those drugs. But by and
Hmm.
large, physically speaking, at the end of life, it affects a lot of the bodily organs. And when it comes to mental health issues, that's
Okay.
uh, that's a lot. That's very
Hmm.
severe. You see,
Hmm.
people can smoke marijuana if they people who start smoking very early in age. Before they
Hmm.
get to like age of 25, they might develop a very serious mental illness. People who
Okay.
start smoking later in life, like after they are 20, they might end up with another form of mental illness that might not be as serious as those who have started smoking early in life. Researchers have
Okay.
shown that. We have studied a lot of that. So, one way or the other, people using drugs are going to develop, and this is generally speaking in mental health, they're going to develop one form of mental illness or the other before the end of their life.
Okay. That
That
mentally is quite, when you say mental illness now, you are talking about what we call normally here in Nigeria madness.
well, we,
Really.
we don't use the word madness anymore. Okay,
Okay.
so I will call it mental health issues. Yeah, but that's what people call madness, and truly, it will happen if
Okay.
there are three things that will happen to people using drugs. If they are not physically compromised, like end up in a very serious, severe physical illness, they will end up in a serious mental illness or they will end up in jail. It's three things. These are
Okay.
three things. There's no in between. So that's why we always encourage people, do not use it. Do not mess
Okay.
with drugs because it's a very long journey. It's a very, very long journey.
Very long journey.
It's a
So,
very
which
long
means
journey of
what you are
life.
saying, let's just say that you are saying now that all person who take any form of drugs or the other will have mental illness at one time or the other. It could
At one
just
time
be
of
short,
the other in their
long,
life.
or
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
They would have that mental. There's no way you can be in control of it.
There's no in between if they don't stop
Oh,
using. If they don't
okay.
stop using it. Prolonged use of any substance of abuse, any of these drugs will result in one form of mental illness or the other. The severity depends.
Hmm. Quite.
Yeah.
I, w- I hope our youths are listening, and because some of them just want to try something and feel that once I try it, it would always
Yeah.
I will,
We
I
need
can
we
always
need
pull off whenever I
the
want.
only way to help them is to let them, we keep talking to them as lecturers, as teachers, as family parents and everybody, even friends who have more sense, or the pastors, the imam. My association, International Association for Psychiatric Nurses, we have a program where we do a lot of education in Nigeria and across Africa. Okay, we do that because we know prevention is the only solution. It's not only better than cure. When it comes to addiction, it is the cure.
Okay.
Do not do it. Yeah. But
Okay.
when we were young, I didn't like, I went to school in Oyo Town. I grew up in Oyo Town. Even in those days when we were in school, we
Mm-hmm.
have classmates who smoke weed.
Yeah,
I
well, of
had
course.
schoolmates who smoke weed. And I can tell you, I left school, I left the secondary school in 2000 and I think 2000, no, 1981.
Mm,
And I went to nursing school in 1982 and I graduated in 1985. When I graduated in 1985, one of my seniors at Orania
mm,
Grammar School, Oyo, was my
mm,
patient. One of my seniors that we used to smoke, that we know. This senior
mm-hmm.
said, he's a correct man, he smoke and all that. It was my patient on the psychiatric ward. That
Okay.
was only 3 years after I left secondary school.
Hmm.
And we thought he was great guy, he smoked and he got his swag, Rarini, we call them Rari and all that. But he ended up in
Hmm.
psych hospital.
Hmm.
So my message to our youth is do not do it. It's worse
Don't
than
even.
village. It's worse than village corso. I can tell you that.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. I've been working in addiction. I worked in addiction in Nigeria. I work in addiction in Saudi Arabia. I work in addiction in Europe. I worked in addiction in America for several years. And what we can say is that do not do it.
Hmm.
Do not mess with it if you don't want to be messed up in life. Yeah, there will see some people who escaped it that I said, but several people didn't didn't escape it. They didn't make it.
Okay.
It's worse than village. When they say village people, they do you. It's worse than
Hmm.
that. Addiction is worse
So
than
when
that.
Peter Touch singing legalize marijuana must be saying that making everyone go crazy or mad.
You know,
Or having mental.
several years ago, about probably about 12 years ago,
Hmm.
2009 to 2016, I was a nurse in Canada.
Hmm.
I was a mental health nurse in Canada. Before I left Canada, they legalized marijuana. Okay.
Okay.
Several states in the United States have legalized it. Okay.
Okay.
I can tell you from a mental health practitioner point of view,
Hmm.
mental health issues have increased since then.
Hmm.
Okay. And people who legalize it are politicians. They did it for economic reasons, it's not for people's health reasons.
Hmm.
The way they look at it is that cigarettes is causing more damage to physical health than marijuana. So why can't we
Hmm.
legalize marijuana?
Okay.
But
You brought.
we in mental health advocated against it seriously. We push, don't do it, don't do it. But now you could see people coming out with some soft mental illness, some serious mental illness, and all of this because they have exposure to this cannabinoid that we have in cannabis, in marijuana.
I want to
So
ask a question.
don't legalize it.
Like I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Cigarette, can it
Yeah.
cause cigarette
No,
smoking?
no. Nicotine have not been identified to cause mental illness, but they call more serious illness that is not mental, it's physical. This is the main cause of heart disease
Okay.
and lung diseases, different type of lung diseases, including lung
Other.
cancer. Yeah, but
Hmm.
not mental illness. No,
I,
yeah.
I wonder why politicians keep supporting um, things that could cause um, challenges to individuals instead of supporting and legalizing it. I am quite surprised with all this data you have mentioned, which I believe they have. Then yet
They
they
have they
still.
have the data. As I said to you, it's more. They look more at. I know Canada at the time was looking more at the economy, how much is costing them to take care of people with heart disease who are smoking cigarettes compared to how many people have mental illness because they are smoking marijuana. But you know, early exposure to marijuana will bring mental illness quicker. When I say early exposure, when people start smoking like the age of 16, 17, by the time they
Okay,
turn 23, 24, they might develop
mental
a
health.
range of mental health problem. You know,
Hmm.
it can be very severe, it can be mild, but they will have, and it could be mild as they cannot sleep. They'll have chronic, what we call chronic insomnia. They can't sleep. They will only sleep 2 hours at night. And when you sleep 2 hours at night, how can you function in anywhere, either uh, as a family member, either as a parent, either as a worker? After 2 hours sleep consistently for weeks, you cannot function. So that's
Hmm.
considered. And then your mood become bad. You become very irritable. You're snapping at people. You know, you're getting angry when you're not supposed to get angry. Your mood is going yo-yo up and down because you are not having enough sleep. You know, uh, don't do it. That's what I keep saying to the to the
So
yeah, that's what
the
I keep saying. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't touch drugs. Leave it alone. Enjoy other things in life. Eat well. Have fun. Go on the beach. Go if you have money. Go have fun. Go play sport. Go hang out with friends. Do not touch it.
Hmm. Why? Let me just ask this. I was listening to the President of the United States of America talking about opioid. I think that's more dangerous than even this one's cocaine and all that, because the way he mentioned it is as if no solution to that.
You remember when we have when we in Nigeria, there was a time we have a lot of issue about this cough syrup. People are buying from
Yes.
the pharmacy and they're abusing it. That
Yes.
syrup have opiate based substances in them.
Okay. It has opioid. It's opioid based.
Opioid in it. Okay, that's
Yes.
one. Colorado have
Has
opioids
opioid based.
in it.
Okay.
Okay, those are what the president is talking about. But in America, a lot of them have enough money to buy the real deal, the real opioid, which could be either in tablet, in tablet form, or it can be, I mean, that they get it from prescription for pain and all that, opioid based prescription pain medication. We have them. We have range of them.
Okay.
Because maybe
Okay.
after people have operation, the doctor gave them for like 5 days because of the serious pain, and they quickly get addicted to it. So they
uh
will be
That's what I want to ask. Opioid. It seems you are faster. It's faster for you to get addicted to opioid than any other of the drugs.
You're correct to you're right to say that. Yeah, the progression to addiction, your tolerance from taking it, from initiating it to tolerance to addiction is very vast. In opiate, actually, you do not need to have a heavy genetic loading of addiction in you to progress quickly to addiction when you use opiate, because it makes people feel good. It's
Okay.
very like feel good, very feel good medication. Like if you have pain, if they give you opiate based medication, you will think the pain will never be there again. You know,
Okay.
and once it wears off, what do you want again? You want it. Once
Hmm.
you wear off, you want it. And then your body might quickly get used to it. So, people here in the United States, people across the world, even the doctors are very, very sensitive. In those days that they don't know, they give to people. Like they can give you for 12 days and
Hmm.
all that. And they find out that people are getting addicted. And people who are getting addicted, they don't even know that it's addiction. They will
Hmm.
just say, that's the only thing that fixed my pain. Doctor, give me this medication for my pain. And they already get addicted into it. If they
Hmm.
don't take it, they start having the withdrawal symptoms I mentioned, chills,
Hmm.
lacrimation, like running nose, running eyes,
Hmm.
body aches, joint pain, like just start feeling like you're coming out with something like malaria or typhoid.
Hmm.
So those are what the president keep talking about. It was a big problem and it's still a big problem in the United States, both from the prescription part and people just getting it on the street to use.
Hmm. I want you
Yeah.
to talk like an expert now. Is there any hope escaping from any form of this addiction? Any
There,
hope?
there well,
And the person is clean,
there is
or there's
hope.
no way you can be
There is,
100% clean.
in mental health, we hold on to the word hope. Hope,
Hmm.
HOPE, is actually
Yes.
the central ingredient in what we call recovery model of care.
Hmm.
Okay, we use hope for people with mental illness, that there's still hope, they can still function a certain level and live some level of good life. Hope.
Okay.
So I'm bringing that hope to addiction now. Yes, there's
Hmm.
hope. Okay, although the result everywhere in the world, if you look at the result, look at the journal, pull every information, they have not been great success
Hmm.
in people recovering. We've had people recover from addiction, recovering from addiction, but not completely recovered. You cannot say recovered. We never had people say, I'm a recovered addict. I'm ex-addict. You can never ex-addict. Once an addict, you're addict for life.
Huh.
So this is the phenomenon with we give to the patient so that they will understand that this is real lifetime journey. Once you get into it, it's a real life journey. I've seen successful people, ex-president of United States many years ago, George Bush Jr. He said he used to be an alcoholic. He's a recovering alcoholic. He still refers to himself a recovering alcoholic because he realized it's a lifetime journey. Because you can
Hmm.
easily slip back into that addiction, either because of stress of life, because of things that happen. You remember, like when we are happy in our society, in the general society, we celebrate. When we celebrate, what do? We do? We drink.
Yes.
Okay. So in addiction, when people are happy, they go back to use the drug. When they are sad, they go back to use the drug. So there's a
Hmm.
problem. That's why we say it's a journey and they have to keep going. Yes, there's hope. There's so many interventions that are out there nowadays compared to what we knew in the 90s. Okay, the different
Okay.
intervention. One, there have always been what we call the recovering program, addiction programs where people go in for weeks and they learn new things, they stay clean and learn new things in a group form in individual sessions. They learn few things to improve their life, to help them understand what the addiction is, to help them understand how they are getting into it, to help them understand how they can move away, how they can resist, and stuff like that. We have
Hmm.
recovery programs. There are different medications now that they can give people to help
Hmm.
them not have what we call craving. Craving happens when you don't use the drugs. You want it. Your body is
Okay.
craving for it. If it is marijuana, psychologically you are craving for it. If it is like opiate, your body is craving for it, even if you don't want it. So now we have medication, short term and long term, injection and tablet that we can give to people to keep that urge down.
Down. Hmm.
Down. Then they have different meetings, Alcohol Anonymous, Narcotic Anonymous, which is a group of people come together and say, well, your problem is like my problem. Let's talk about how do you solve this problem. So they come like they do meetings to talk about it in groups, and that help them. They bond together. That help them to to move forward in the recovery journey. So you
Okay.
see, there's hope, right?
Let's hope. Yeah.
Because
But
there's so
not
many
hundred
things you can
percent.
do. But if you look at it, that's a lot of effort compared to do not use it.
Yes. Yes. It's a lot of effort because I want to even say that that hope you are talking about. If you live in, for instance, in a place like Nigeria, that there's
Yeah,
pressure, you could relapse easily after
easy.
facing one pressure or the other, home pressure, family issues, things that are associated with money and all that.
I
You
I,
could
I
drop
agree.
that easily.
I agree with you. I agree with you. We have so much pressure. I always say to people, like when I go to international conferences, I say, no, what people going through in Africa, if the population of Western world experience half of what people are going through in Africa, are talking about war, you're talking about poverty, you're talking about struggling with everyday to day thing life, you have more
Mm,
people with mental illness than we have in Africa.
Africa, and it
We
seems
will.
it's it's in the US that is more people who are drug addicts there. Or
Yeah,
am I just because
that
I'm
well,
judging from the documentaries I see.
exactly. The other thing is that you see in our
And
country
what
like
the US is
Nigeria,
doing to Mexico, Venezuela, it has to do with drugs,
Venezuela.
the
Yeah,
political politics there.
yeah. They have a lot of drugs coming into the United States. The even my colleagues who I mean, I used to not work with NDLA, but we used to work together doing presentation with them and all that. Like NDLA have two sides to their services. One, what we call the demand reduction, and what is supply reduction.
Okay.
Okay, I'm bringing that to the United States. The demand
Mm.
and supply both heavy. Okay, the demand, people can afford to buy them. Okay,
Okay.
they can afford to buy them. Regular people who work and all that, they can afford to buy them. In Africa, how many people can afford to buy real opiate, real heroin? You know what I mean? What we can afford to buy as is like Colorado, those cough syrup and smoke weed, drink
Mm.
paraga. So that's one reason why they probably have higher incidence of addiction than we have in Africa. It's such a protective factor that people are poor, they cannot. I told you a gram of heroin when I used to work in Nigeria in 1992, a gram of heroin is equivalent to my salary, and I need at least 2 grams to use a day as an addict.
Addict.
So I cannot afford it. So
No. So is it safe to say that addiction, drug addiction, especially to this kind of drug, psycho drugs,
yeah.
is what is fueling terrorism and increasing the use terrorism in whether Africa or Nigeria now?
In Nigeria, if you look at our terrorism, it's not.
Because
One,
I
we are
believe
far from
most of the terrorists would be on drugs.
they are one on one form of drugs or the other. To make them, I mean, to make people to be able to do sometimes unbelievable things is either your mind must be altered in a way. So they might
Oh,
be. I cannot lie that they might be using some mind altering drugs
drugs.
that make them either very bold or make them cruel or anything. But we cannot say is a result. I mean, it's a result of the terrorism we're having. It's another thing making
Dimen-
people pursue terrorism. One, we are not close to Afghanistan. We cannot say it's because they are bringing enough drugs to us from Afghanistan. Like Nigeria is far away from Afghanistan, and they are not pushing drugs to the
How about
country. Like, yeah, Libya is close to us, right? Because it's in the African continent. But if you still look at it, it's not a route for drugs. The terrorism is what we are seeing. The terrorism we are seeing in Africa is much of fundamentalism more than because they want to make money from drugs. Okay. Although those people in the field soldiers might be using drugs. I agree with that. But I don't think that's why we have so much terrorism. It's not because of drugs. If America have a lot of fight in their border, we understand it's because Mexico is trying to push drugs into America. So it's completely different. And Venezuela. Yeah, Venezuela. It's basically they are sitting around people who just want to push drugs to America because they know the population can afford it. They know they have the money. They know they want it. So yeah, the bill runs. Oh no, Even when people I take care of when I was in Nigeria in drug addiction settings, they will tell you that's the mistake they made. Most of them are like drug courier taking drugs from Thailand to Nigeria, from Nigeria to the Western world, and all that. But when they start tasting it themselves, then they become an addict, and the business will fail. Yes. Yes. Well, we we cannot say that on blanket like blanket statement. It's not. As you mentioned earlier, and I've agreed with you, that drug react differently from one person to the other. Okay. Some people they will tell you when they drink a lot of alcohol they can go longer having sex. And whereas some people, once they take alcohol and it's high, they just go to sleep. They can't do nothing. Okay. Other drugs people talk about is like marijuana. Marijuana is a stimulant for some people, but some people it just make them chill. They will smoke it and they will just be at peace to smile at you. God bless you, brother. God bless you, sister. They won't do nothing. Okay. So it depends. Me, I've not really identified any drug that any of these substances we're talking about, either cocaine, heroin, I mean, opiate is even worse, okay? Heroin or cannabis none of them actually truly enhances sexual escapade. None of them.
Okay.
It depends on individual how you feel. Some people take it, they feel very hyper energetic. Some people it just chill them. And then when you are chill, you can have sex.
Okay.
You just want to enjoy your peace and just be where you want to be. You seen some other things you are liking, not that.
But okay, I will agree with you. How about the feminine aspect? Does I'm talking of sex now? Does
Yeah.
drug help them in any way? Only.
No, no drug will help a woman sexually. Okay, that is the truth. As I said, just like in men, some people might think, oh, if I take, and this actually sometimes push people to addiction because they think, oh, if I
Yeah.
take this, I would do better. I would do, and most of the time, it's not true. It's not even scientific. Okay, it's
Okay.
not proven scientific. There are medications and other things, other herbs and stuff that might increase sexual escapade for you to go on and on. But there are none of all these drugs that you get addicted to. For
Okay.
example, if they give you Viagra, you cannot get addicted to Viagra because it doesn't make you feel more happy. A lot
Okay.
of these drugs that people get addicted to, they get what we call a buzz from them. And that's why they keep going back there to use it. So all these drugs they might give you a buzz, maybe they can increase your sexual thing briefly and all that, but they are not actually for that purposes.
Purpose.
And people
Okay.
should just not try them. They can do other things. Guess here, let's get Viagra if you think. you know in Nigeria there are different root, different herbs. When people chew, they make better, no, they perform better and all that. So but not these drugs. Tell our
Okay.
youth it doesn't worry. The pain is more than the fun. The
But
pain is more than the fun.
let me ask you this last question before we go. But I want you. But let me just ask this question: does
Uh,
drugs make you bold? Which means you can do anything. You can kill, you can destroy, you can even carry a nuclear bomb and throw at at any
a-
person.
as I said earlier, a lot of these psychoactive drugs, we call them, they are mind altering drugs. They can alter the way you function. They make your inhibition different. For example, people drink alcohol, they become bold. Some
Okay.
people will use any of these drugs, yeah, they can become bold and they can do things that is more than in their normal ability to do.
Normal.
Yeah. And if you look at it, that's why some people started using it, then they get addicted to it.
Okay. Let me just ask this one. Let me get your perspective. Do you think the government should be punishing drug addicts?
It's never the way
Because
forward.
from your description now, it seems they've lost their mind. They need help,
You, you got it. They need
and
help.
whatever crime they commit may not be them who is doing that.
No, no. You know, I've worked in certain parts of the Middle East in the past. That was in 1992 to 1995. And the people I dealt with actually were only drug addicts. And you'll be surprised that they have so many drug addicts. What their government was doing before then was putting them in jail.
Hmm.
Okay? They will find them on the street, drunk, or they commit offense, they put them in jail and all that. But The new thing is that, I mean, I believe in the illness concept of addiction
Mm.
because to be honest, nobody want to be an addict. Nobody got up one day and said, "I will use drug and become an addict." But one thing led to the other, and they became addicted. So once they get to the addictive phase of life, and they have all this addictive behavior, what we call addictive behavior in life, which might include crime. They commit crime because they are seeking money to fund their drugs and all that. At that point, they're already ill. They should be treated. They should not be arrested and put in jail. They should go through addiction program and try to help them to become better members of our community.
Okay. I want you to promise me that next week, 1 o'clock, we'll meet. But this time around, we are not going to be discussing on psycho drugs. We'll be discussing on clinical drugs, the addictive nature of clinical drugs.
They are difficult
That
of
will be our
clinical drugs.
focus next week. I've intentionally not asked you anything on that. So
Sure,
next week,
sure.
discuss that, and we'll at least allow our youths, although also the elders who take all those kind of drugs to
So that they can be aware. They can have
so that
awareness of.
they won't, because I've really learned a lot from what you have said. I want to
You're,
thank you
you're
once
welcome.
I want to thank you once more, and I believe our subscribers and those who will virtually watch this video will be happy with what they hear. And I also wish the government people will know how to tailor their policy concerning issues that are associated with addiction and drugs. I want to thank you, sir, for coming. And next week, 1 p.m. Nigerian time, we are expecting that you come up. I guess more awareness will be made then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy, and I'll be happy to come back. This is this
Yeah,
is this this, this is my passion. Talk about mental health, sensitize people about it, so that people can have a opinion and how to take care of themselves. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom
yes.
line.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
you.
welcome,
Bye.
sir. Have a
Yeah.
good evening there. All right.
Yes. Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah.
Bye. Bye. Bye.